my pleasure to welcome Rakesh Pandey. He is the Distinguished Professor of Engineering at Olin College of Engineering and also the President of IIT Kanpur Alumni Association. It's a pleasure to welcome you.
Same here. Thanks.
Wanted to start with the whole process of putting the Alumni Association together. You are very passionate and dedicated to this cause. So let's learn from you how this all comes into being as an alumni association.
So IIT Kanpur Alumni Association, for instance, has existed for several decades. We started in 1976, and we have had several people who have led it over the years, and here we are today in 2011, many years later, celebrating the Alumni Association. The way people have brought it all together is at several levels. One is, what does Alumni Association represent? What does it do? Now, that may be one simple way to look at it. The one that's most obvious one would be, well, we have reunions on our campus, and Alumni Association facilitates and brings people together, and they come together, and it's both a nostalgia trip for people to come back at their 25th reunion or 30th or 35th many years later, but also builds a connection to the Institute in several ways. People see firsthand, second-hand, third-hand, several times that they have come to see how the Institute is growing, how it's changing, interact with students, interact with faculty. So that's one overall part where the Alumni Association is part of this creating a reunion. Now, to do that, we need to manage our connections to all the alumni, which is managing contacts with people on an ongoing basis. And as you know, people move all the time, and so keeping track of everybody. Thankfully, today we have a lot of technology, so we can really keep a good track of where people are.
I should ask you, the last point you made. Contacting them and keeping up with them is obviously a hard job. But how do you keep interest and build interest for the alumni to be in touch with you and also contribute back?
Yeah, so I think I tend to be one of those people that sort of says, well, before you ask people to contribute anything, you ask the question, what have you done for them? Because I think not because there's a quid pro quo, not because you're trying to do a transaction, but you create that interest first. What is that's interesting? Why would I continue to be interested? Because there are so many things in life that are interesting, and campus was just one thing. Just reading about on an ongoing basis of what may be happening on their campus, on our campus, is exciting, because it relates to your department, your faculty, some faculty member that you knew who taught you, and now they have got a prize somewhere, they've got an award, they've published a world-known paper. It just gives you a personal sense of pride. Don't we all feel good about when our friends, our family members, and this to us is an extended family. So that form of communication is one of those, I would say, critical pieces to create interest among the alumni and continued interest. We at IIT Kanpur also have a program where our students make phone calls to our alumni around the world, just to talk to them and just give them updates about what's happening on campus. Now, that's a personal voice that, if you get a phone call from somebody who says, I'm a student, third year student from IIT Kanpur, second year student from IIT Kanpur, calling you to talk to you and find out how you're doing, but also, tell you a little bit about what's happening on campus. Those things build connections, because, you need that information flow. That's a key element. Of course, within each class, people have their own communication groups, and classes are vibrant in there. They're literally self-sustaining, where people are communicating today via email and other social media very, very routinely, and that keeps that interest about campus activities going.
So, as an alumnus, what is your personal passion in this? I know it's one thing to, obviously, as a service, you want to give back to the institution which gave you so much, but as a student when you're growing up and you have come to this great nation and achieved so much success, and obviously you want to give back. But for you to be, now you're president, but you've been dedicated alumnus for a long time. Personally, for you, what is the gratification?
So, I think, when I was on campus, I would say while we knew that there were alumni out there, that we had very little interaction with them as a student. Students today, we feel, can gain a lot more out of an interaction with alumni around the world. Whether they are older alumni, meaning people who have been out for a long time, literally their parents' age, or near peer, people who have graduated recently, each can bring a certain knowledge and expertise and life's experience to them, which can enable them to feel more comfortable about the environment that they are in. As you know, IITs are fairly competitive, and the students naturally are competitive. So to help them understand that what is it that's important and what's it that's not that important, for instance. To me, why should they have to go through not getting that advantage? That's an example of where I tend to think, well, is there a way to share that experience? And we have a program which brings several alumni to campus on a regular basis, and they come and interact with students. And students love it because they hear perspectives which, you see extremely successful alumni saying that they struggled in some ways at IIT, but nevertheless they were successful. And that aspect is very reassuring, that it's not that critical that you feel that you're struggling, because it is an environment that will challenge you, and that's part of preparation for life, that you will be challenged in the future in the same way. So helping students understand that dimension, for instance, to me is very personal, in the sense that I wish there was somebody at our time who was advising us in a similar manner on campus, because I think we would have, I would have gained from it. So that's one example that I can share with you. I think the other, I could argue it's selfish, is that we want IIT Kanpur, or any IIT, an overall brand IIT, to continue to shine, which means that what we stood for and what we stand for, which is excellence, has to continue. Which means, how can we make sure in this mightily competitive world, with so much changing, as you know, over the last few years particularly, how can IITs continue to be competitive, relevant, and excellent? So it behooves us to get engaged with IIT at all levels, where we can contribute to that continued excellence, participating and working with IIT Kanpur administration, IIT Kanpur faculty, IIT Kanpur students, and us alumni together. So, the reason I say selfish is very simply because it's a brand that I carry. And if that brand is tarnished, I'm carrying a tarnished brand. I wouldn't put that on record, but you understand what my point is, that the interest is that the brand continues to shine. And so, to me, giving back is not just giving back in money. To me, it's important and it's critical and it's crucial. I think it's really engaging in a much more wholesome manner with the campus. In Hindi, there's this phrase, tan man dhan. Tan is body, man is mind, and dhan is money. And in a way, you could sort of imagine that you're giving mind, your ideas, your thoughts, your intellect. Your body is your time, your effort that you put into doing something, and of course sharing your money. So one can contribute in all these different forms, not any one, not all necessarily, depending on people's situation personally, but the contribution can be in all these different forms. And I think different people's passions and personal situations are different, that they will contribute differently. But that's what drives me.